Usually I use a Q-tip with my ear. Swab number one. Love a parade. Swab number two. This is on the left side of my mouth. As you notice, the right side looks like this. The left side is very different. Thank you very much. Vanna White, ladies and gentlemen. This last one is so important to me that I'm going to do it all around my mouth. All around my mouth.
Get it good.
I have to. As you see, that was one of those songs from Britney Spears. Gotta get it. Gotta get it. Gotta get it. Kevin Federline. There you are.
Fantastic.
Cool.
My next guest is the Director of Research for the Study of the Legacy of Slavery in Maryland and Maryland State Archives in Annapolis. 2010 marks his 5th year as the Executive Director of the Utopia Film Festival in Greenbelt, Maryland. He served on several boards, including the historic London Town Foundation, the Jake Savage Foundation, and the Annapolis Arts Alliance. And his script of the 2004 Reconciliation Walk for Slavery and Penitence, held in Annapolis, helped garner the Maryland Tourism Council Global Marketing Award for the Punta Kinte Alex Haley Foundation. So please help me welcome last night's banquet speaker, the nephew of Alex Haley, the author of Roots, Mr. Chris Haley. So, Mr. Haley, I am thrilled to have you here.
I'm thrilled to be had.
You were one of the few people who were running around this conference that I had not had an opportunity to meet before or get to know. And when I read your bio, I'm just like, okay, he's really busy.
Yes.
And in so many different things.
Yes.
A script, you wrote a script, and you're in the arts and theater. Tell us about that.
Well, when I started out as a young boy in a log cabin, I was thinking about
In the Revolutionary War generation?
the Revolutionary War, and Maureen Taylor said, "I want to take your picture." I was just like, oh my gosh, and so I went in the back and I asked my mother for some makeup, and it's history.
Wow.
Well, when I was a kid, I really was always into the arts. I really was very much big into, I wanted to perform on stage or on TV. My idols were on stage and on TV. Now, at the same time, I was always very big into Black history. My grandmother was a teacher, and when I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old, about 10 years ago, she gave me this book about the American heritage history of the Negro in America. So this was a couple of years ago because there was still Negro instead of African American. And I was just fascinated to see all these pictures, black and white pictures of black folk. And then Maureen Taylor called me, and she said, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway.
I think it's a plug. Somebody wants your next book.
Exactly. No, I am going to ask for a discount because I have a picture of my family to turn the picture, which I'm really still trying to figure out. And it's a true statement. But anyway, so I was always interested in the arts and in history. We're hoping to continue our Underground Railroad research in Maryland. We just finished applying for a grant to the Department of Education, and I hope that my saying that is a boon for good luck rather than just a wooden table. No, but it's very important. We've been able to unearth around over 100,000 names of African Americans, both enslaved and free, through the years from approximately 1830 to 1860, and also created case studies, over 12,500 case studies of these same individuals, from runaway slave agitators or domestic traffic dads.
Well, there's a mini-series right there.
I hope.
In the works, that you could do. Now,
I act.
And you act. And a little birdie told me, Paula Hinkle of Jamboree, that
birdies.
you sing.
It's
And,
because most of them don't know if I sing, they don't want to clap yet. partially my mother would always sort of encourage me to perform or to cut up the things. And she would always say, if I could sing, and my father could sing, so I try to sing just to sort of bridge that gap.
Those of us who can't are counting on those of you who can.
Exactly. And I used to work at the Gap, too. So.
Oh, did you?
No more discounts, please.
Well, give us a little sample. My daughter loves theater.
Oh, really?
She's been in musical
wow.
theater.
Excellent.
And she said, you have to ask them for something from the show.
Okay, well, has anybody here heard of Duke Ellington?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I won't be singing anything by that. No, I'm kidding. Since it's this Saturday, and I'm sure some of you are probably going to go to the banquet with Megan Smolinac, but then some of you probably are not, which means you're going to miss it. So in honor of that, I'm going to essay to sing Don't Get Around Much Anymore. Do I take that microphone or listen to this?
Listen to this would be perfect.
I could try to sing anywhere is what I was
You
looking
can
to
stand
say.
up.
I can even stand up and hold it. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, this is kind of crazy here. That's right, it's a quarters mic. So hold the mic. So this is a double thing.
There you go.
Missed the Saturday dance. Heard the crowd on the floor. Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. No, darling, I guess my mind's more at ease, but nevertheless, why stir up old memories? I've been invited dates, might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore, more, till you come back to me more. I don't get around, don't get around,
The Genealogy Jones podcast will now go into pure music.
I mean, there was times when I felt that my SPIT would be all that. How I found them was through DNA testing with a Q-tip swab in my mouth that Megan Smolinac requested that I do, and within about, I guess, 3 or 4 months or a month and a half is when she called me and told me that we had a match, and the match was from someone named Baff. And then on the DNA page, you click on the page, and then this little stick person moves from where you click, moves to some place on this flat map like Christopher Columbus would have used, and the orange person moves from where you click them to where they supposedly live, and it was in the British Isles. Now, subsequent to that, I did some emails with it turned out to be June Baff Black, which is the other thing, because here I was black and she adopted my name, which is just amazing that a person would do that. Because she could have adopted the name White, but that would have been redundant for her. So, I figured black would be, proud for me. I would have gone with brown, but, since that was my mother's maiden name. Because we went through, I think it was like 4 emails before we finally, 4 emails and then a phone call. Because the emails were like, well, what do you do? What do you like? What's your favorite color? And then it was, everything was very positive about me. It turned out she was big into theater and drama, and of course I am too. What was the other thing? Well, she had a child named Christopher, and then I have me, and then she also had. What she had family names that were like our family. She had a George, she had a William, my Uncle George, my cousin William. So it was just so many similarities there, which, as Megan and I were sort of corresponding, seemed too, not even coincidental, they were beyond coincidental to think that this isn't right in some way. B-A-U-G-H is what we were always told that the name that Alec Haley had, and then for whatever reason, at least how I remembered it, for whatever reason, he assumed the name of Haley. And we weren't, or at least I didn't recall why he took the name of Haley. I thought it was, I just didn't know. And even as recently as when I ended up going to Who Do You Think You Are in London, literally during the presentation, Megan says, she shows a clip from Queen where it says it says Ball was the slave foreman who had relations with Sabina, who was the slave, and they were she was the slave of Haley, who was the plantation owner. I mean, I had totally forgotten what the connection was until I'm sitting there. I always thought it was B-A-U-G-H, which I liked a lot because Sammy Ball was a great Redskin quarterback, like the first, I think, phenomenal Redskin quarterback. I thought she was a very attractive woman who must be my relation. Basically, is what I felt. No, I mean, it was great. I mean, it really was. It was. I mean, it wasn't like a blind date. I mean, it was like one of those things where you really were fearing it, but it was just to be Pollyanna, it was a special moment because it was someone that I think in the far-flung reaches of what genealogy can be, I think the fact that you could take a test, a swab, and then end up within really 3 weeks of being in contact with the person and meeting them, and know that really beyond a shadow of a doubt that this person is related through you through the centuries. We're not even talking in terms of, well, we were at a family reunion, hey cuz. I mean, this is through the centuries, this person is related to you. And at that point, it very much didn't matter whether she was wide or short or tall. It helped that she was attractive, but I mean, it didn't matter. And it was just great. I mean, and then later on that afternoon, we were at the conference, and Ancestry was taking a zillion pictures of us, which were kind of straining on my face, especially being 25 years old. It was really hard. And then she looked over the balcony, and her kids were down there. Her husband and her kids were there, and they were like, "Mommy, Mommy." And I was like, "Oh, my God, I'm going to meet the whole family," which we only had one day to be there, my cousin Lynn and I. So it really was like, after not knowing somebody for all your life, and then taking this swab a year and a half ago, and then within 3 weeks you're talking to somebody on the email and then on the phone, and you're meeting them, and you have 24 hours to make a bond, James Bond, shaken not stirred, and then all of a sudden you meet not only them but their family. It was just great because they come up the stairs, and Christopher, who's 8, spells his name K, but we'll fix that, and Katie, his sister, who's 12, who's also a dancer, and her father, David, come around the corner, and the kids just run up into their mother and they hug her, and he's wearing his little kilt and his socks, and he's got the reddish hair that, I mean, Lucille Ball would be envious of the hair this kid had. And they were my cousins and my family. It's like an amazing thing.